Welcome to Gone But Remembered. I'm Jessica. Today we take a quiet moment to reflect on the lives of those who are no longer with us, yet remain deeply present in our memories. Their kindness, talent, and spirit touched so many. As we remember them, we keep their legacy alive in our hearts. Pat Steer, an influential artist known for her innovative approach to abstract painting, passed away in New York City at the age of 87. Her work is widely remembered for pushing the boundaries of how movement, chance, and material could shape visual art. The waterfall technique. She became especially known for her waterfall series, where paint was allowed to drip and flow down the canvas from above. Instead of strictly controlling each brushstroke, she embraced gravity and unpredictability as part of the creative process. This method gave her paintings a natural sense of motion, as colours blended, shifted, and evolved on their own while moving across the surface. Art that feels alive. Steer's work was often described as energetic and alive, with a strong sense of rhythm and physical movement. Critics appreciated how her paintings blurred the line between control and chance, creating abstract pieces that felt emotionally expressive without relying on traditional structure or form. A lasting creative influence. Her artistic legacy lies in her ability to rethink what painting could be. By allowing materials to behave freely, she transformed paint into a tool for movement and emotion. Today, Pat Steer is remembered for her unique vision and for expanding the language of abstract art in a way that continues to inspire artists working with form, motion, and process. Merle Haggard, one of the most influential voices in country music, passed away on his 79th birthday, leaving behind a legacy deeply rooted in honesty and lived experience. His music reflected the struggles, pride, and everyday realities of ordinary people, making him one of the most relatable artists of his time. Songs that defined an era. Over his career, Haggard achieved more than 38 #1 hits. Songs like Mama Tried and Okie from Muskogee became cultural touchstones, known for their straightforward storytelling and emotional truth. His work blended hardship with resilience, giving listeners a sense of shared experience through music. Honours and recognition. In 1994, he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, a recognition of his lasting impact on the genre. His songwriting and performances helped shape modern country music, influencing countless artists who followed in his footsteps. Enduring influence. Even years after his passing, Merle Haggard's music continues to resonate with audiences. His songs remain widely played and deeply appreciated, carrying forward themes of struggle, dignity, and perseverance. His legacy lives on as a reminder that authentic storytelling in music never loses its power. Mel Schilling was widely recognized as a television dating expert who became a familiar presence on relationship-focused programming. She worked with individuals navigating high-pressure social experiments, particularly on shows where strangers agreed to build relationships after meeting for the first time. Over more than a decade, she became associated with guiding people through emotionally complex and vulnerable situations with a calm, structured approach and on-screen role. What stood out in her work was her communication style. She often focused on helping participants reflect on their choices, expectations, and emotional responses, especially when relationships became difficult. Her role required balancing honesty with empathy, and she was known for maintaining a steady presence during tense or uncertain moments. Viewers often associated her with clarity in situations that were otherwise emotionally chaotic. Legacy and remembrance. She passed away at the age of 53 following health complications related to illness. Colleagues and audiences remember her for her professionalism and the warmth she brought to her interactions. Beyond her on-screen role, She is often described as someone who treated people with care and attention, leaving behind a legacy connected to emotional understanding and human connection in modern reality television. Angela Pagano was born on April 1st, 1937 in Naples, a city that remained central to her identity throughout her life and career. From an early age, she developed a connection to performance, eventually building a steady path in Italian cinema and theatre. Her work was marked by emotional subtlety and a grounded style that made even small roles feel meaningful. A career of quiet strength, Pagano appeared in films such as The Seed of Man, Luna Rossa, and Il Nascondiglio. Across these works, she often portrayed supporting or character-driven roles, bringing depth without excess. Rather than chasing prominence, she focused on consistency and authenticity, contributing to stories that reflected Italian life and its changing social landscape over time. A lasting presence in Italian cinema, she passed away in Naples at the age of 87, with no official cause of death publicly disclosed. Her passing marked the end of a long and dedicated artistic journey that spanned decades of Italian film history. Remembered for her quiet strength and sincerity, Angela Pagano left behind a legacy preserved in her performances and in the cultural memory of Naples' artistic community, where her work continues to be appreciated. What was meant to be a light outing off the coast of Brazil ended in a heartbreaking tragedy that has since drawn attention to boating safety and social media culture. Two women, identified as influencers, Aline Tamara Moreira de Amorim, 37, and Beatriz Tavares de Silva Faria, 27, died when a speedboat capsized near São Paulo after encountering rough waters while returning from a yacht gathering. Authorities reported that the vessel was carrying more passengers than its intended limit, which may have contributed to the instability during the incident. Events leading to the capsizing. According to local reports, the boat was struck by a strong wave in a coastal area known for challenging waters. The captain and surviving passengers stated that life jackets had been offered and recommended before departure. However, it was also reported that not all passengers chose to wear them at the time. The sudden change in sea conditions quickly escalated into a situation that the group was unable to recover from, leading to the vessel sinking. Reflection and safety awareness. Both women lost their lives by drowning. The incident has since prompted broader discussion about safety measures on small vessels, especially during recreational trips that are often shared on social media. It serves as a reminder of how quickly conditions at sea can change and the importance of following safety guidelines, even during short and seemingly routine outings. Jack Nicholson's life has always carried an unusual sense of mystery, but what he discovered later in adulthood would reshape everything he believed about himself. Born on April 22, 1937, in Neptune City, New Jersey, Jack grew up thinking his family structure was completely normal. His early life appeared modest and stable, raised in a working-class household where creativity and humour shaped much of his personality. What he didn't know, however, was that the foundation of his identity was built on a carefully maintained family secret. For decades, the truth about his parentage was hidden from him through an arrangement designed to protect reputations and avoid social judgment. This quiet deception remained intact through his childhood, teenage years, and even as he stepped into Hollywood. Nothing in his early environment suggested the complexity behind his origins. Yet, this hidden truth would later surface in the most unexpected way, long after he had already become one of the most recognized faces in American cinema. Childhood, family roles, and a carefully maintained illusion, Nicholson was raised by Ethel and John Nicholson, believing they were his parents. In reality, the family structure had been arranged differently. His biological mother, June, was presented to him as his older sister, a detail carefully maintained throughout his upbringing. This arrangement was not born out of malice, but rather from a desire to avoid social stigma during a complicated period in June's life. The household itself was modest but stable, and Jack's upbringing was filled with ordinary experiences that shaped his humour and personality. At school, he stood out for his wit and charisma, eventually earning a reputation as the class clown. Despite the hidden truth, his childhood was not marked by obvious tension. Everyone involved maintained the illusion consistently, even during emotionally significant moments. The secrecy was so deeply embedded that even hospital visits and family interactions never revealed the truth. This long-standing arrangement would remain undiscovered for decades, quietly shaping his identity without his awareness. The moment everything changed. The truth about Jack Nicholson's family history finally came to light in 1974, when he was already an established actor in Hollywood. While working on a film project, a journalist researching his background discovered inconsistencies in public records. What initially seemed like a routine inquiry quickly turned into something far more significant. Nicholson was contacted and informed that the woman he believed to be his sister was actually his mother, and the woman he thought was his mother was his grandmother. At first, he dismissed the claim as confusion, unwilling to accept such a drastic reinterpretation of his life. However, after reaching out to relatives for clarification, the truth was confirmed. By that time, both women involved in the secret had already passed away, leaving Nicholson without the opportunity to confront or fully understand their motivations. Despite the emotional weight of the revelation, he later reflected on the experience with a surprisingly grounded perspective, describing it as eye-opening rather than devastating. The timing of this discovery, occurring during his rise in Hollywood, added an almost symbolic layer to his personal story. Early Hollywood struggles and finding his path before fame found him, Nicholson's journey in Hollywood was defined by persistence and uncertainty. He arrived in Los Angeles as a teenager, initially intending to stay only briefly. Instead, he became immersed in the film world, starting with small jobs in two studio environments where he earned modest wages. He gradually transitioned into acting classes and theatre groups, where he began building connections that would later prove essential. Despite his determination, early casting decisions often worked against him. Directors struggled to place him in traditional leading roles due to his unconventional look and intense presence. For nearly a decade, he worked in low-budget films, sometimes writing and assisting in production to stay involved in the industry. These years were not glamorous, but they were foundational. He learned the mechanics of storytelling, character development, and filmmaking from multiple angles. His collaboration with independent filmmakers gave him opportunities to experiment and refine his craft, even when mainstream success remained out of reach. Breakthrough roles and the rise of a new Hollywood star, Nicholson's breakthrough came with Easy Rider, a film that unexpectedly became a cultural phenomenon. His performance as an alcoholic lawyer introduced audiences to a new kind of screen presence, intense, unpredictable, and deeply human. The film's success elevated him instantly into Hollywood's spotlight. Soon after, he delivered another defining performance in 5 Easy Pieces, where his portrayal of a conflicted and restless man resonated strongly with audiences and critics alike. One particular diner scene became iconic, capturing his ability to blend frustration, vulnerability, and subtle humour in a single moment. These performances marked a turning point in his career, establishing him as part of a new generation of actors reshaping American cinema. Critics began comparing him to legendary figures of earlier decades, recognizing his ability to bring emotional complexity to every role. From this point forward, Nicholson was no longer struggling for recognition. he had become one of the defining actors of his era. Artistic peak and cinematic legacy. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Nicholson delivered performances that would define his legacy. His role in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest remains one of the most celebrated in film history, earning him an Academy Award and contributing to the film's rare sweep of major Oscar categories. His portrayal was deeply immersive, capturing both rebellion and vulnerability within a controlled institutional setting. Later, in The Shining, he delivered one of cinema's most unforgettable performances. His transformation into Jack Torrance showcased his ability to portray psychological unraveling with unsettling intensity. The role became iconic, influencing generations of filmmakers and actors. Nicholson's approach to acting during this period was marked by deep commitment and emotional immersion, often pushing boundaries to achieve authenticity. His career achievements during these decades solidified his status as one of Hollywood's most influential performers, with multiple awards and nominations recognizing his impact across genres and styles. Fame, relationships, and a complicated personal life. Outside of acting, Nicholson's personal life was often the subject of public fascination. Known for his charm and charisma, he developed a reputation for numerous high-profile relationships. While he was briefly married early in life, most of his romantic history consisted of long-term relationships and brief encounters with various public figures. One of his most significant relationships was with actress Angelica Houston, which lasted for many years but was marked by emotional highs and lows. Their connection was intense, shaped by affection, trust issues, and the challenges of fame. Nicholson's lifestyle and independence often clashed with expectations of commitment, leading to periods of separation and reconciliation. Despite the complexity of his romantic life, he remained deeply respected in Hollywood circles. Many colleagues described him as charismatic, unpredictable, and emotionally intelligent, capable of forming strong bonds even when personal relationships were complicated. Fatherhood and family connections. Nicholson is also the father of several children, each with different relationships to him. Some of these connections have remained close and consistent over time, while others have been more distant. His relationship with his youngest son has often been described as particularly strong, built on shared interests and frequent interaction during childhood. Other children have pursued their own paths, some in entertainment and others outside the industry. While public perception often focuses on his career, his role as a father reflects a more private and nuanced side of his life. Over the years, these relationships have evolved, shaped by distance, circumstance, and personal choices. Despite the complexity, Nicholson has remained a figure of influence within his family, even when not always present in a traditional sense. Later years, retirement, and life in privacy. In his later years, Nicholson gradually stepped away from acting, choosing a quieter lifestyle in Beverly Hills. His home, filled with memorabilia from decades of filmmaking, reflects the depth of his career and personal history. Rather than continuing in the public spotlight, he opted for privacy and simplicity. Friends and colleagues have described him as content, spending time reading, watching sports, and maintaining close personal interests. Although retirement rumours occasionally surfaced, Nicholson has largely remained selective about public appearances. His rare outings, especially at basketball games, often attract attention and nostalgia from fans. Despite his reduced public presence, he continues to be regarded as a cultural icon whose influence on film remains significant, a legendary fan and cultural presence beyond film. One of Nicholson's most recognizable passions outside cinema is his long-standing devotion to the Los Angeles Lakers. For decades, he has been a familiar presence courtside, attending games with remarkable consistency. His enthusiasm, expressive reactions, and unwavering support made him almost as iconic at games as the players themselves. He became part of the culture of the team, with fans and commentators often acknowledging his presence during broadcasts. Even during periods of reduced public activity, his connection to the Lakers remained strong. His dedication extended beyond entertainment, reflecting genuine loyalty and passion for the sport. Over time, Nicholson's presence at games became symbolic of an era, blending Hollywood glamour with athletic culture in a uniquely American way. Conclusion: a life defined by complexity and reinvention. Jack Nicholson's story is not defined by a single chapter, but by layers of reinvention, discovery, and resilience. From a childhood shaped by hidden truths to a career that transformed American cinema, his journey reflects both the unpredictability of life and the power of artistic expression. His legacy is built not only on awards and iconic performances, but also on the complexity of his personal experiences. Through decades of change, he remained a defining figure in Hollywood, admired for his talent and individuality. Even in retirement, his influence continues to shape modern filmmaking, proving that his impact extends far beyond the screen.